Boone, North Carolina. Watauga County, North Carolina's high country. Places that inspire. People who care. A truly connected community. When we're at our best, people flock to our area to experience what we enjoy every day. A step back, that beautiful view, a favorite spot. As we have come to realize, when help is needed, resources have been met with genuine gratitude from the people and businesses that make our communities so unique. This is the Spirit of Boone. Connected communities by scenic roadway or the perfect tubing run. From Newland to Lansing, Todd to Valley Crucis, Boone to Blowing Rock. These communities are anchored by unique and vibrant small businesses that have been faced with an array of challenges they never could have imagined. The Alfred Adams Award for Economic Development is presented by Fosco Companies, and it goes to a community partner that used its financial muscle to bring business-saving resources to the very heart of the high country. Mountain BizWorks.
Small businesses are the economic backbone and the cultural heartbeat of our communities. I'm Matt Raker. I'm the executive director of Mountain BizWorks. We wake up every day trying to help small businesses across Western North Carolina start, grow, and thrive. Mountain BizWorks is a CDFI, a Community Development Financial Institution. We're a nonprofit that allows us to give financing to places where bank financing might not be able to go, or other types of financing. So any enterprising entrepreneur that's got a great idea, willing to put their hard work in, can access capital and have that opportunity to be a successful small business owner. We focus on lending, but then combining that with really good entrepreneurial education, coaching, classes, peer-to-peers, because we know there's always bumps on the road of being a small business owner. With Helene, the level of impacts that our small business owners faced is really, it's hard to fathom. There's so many different challenges, from direct physical impact to their employees. All their dreams, their livelihood is wrapped up in these businesses. We need to get grant funding and to help small businesses across Western North Carolina. Mountain BizWorks, we were very fortunate. People from all across the country were reaching out to get reopened, bring those jobs back, and really bring back those vibrant communities that are so much of what make our region so special. It was really a great partnership with working with folks all across the region. The Boone Chamber was an incredible partner to pool these resources and get them to businesses in the high country that could really use those to help get reopened. Some of our hardest hit communities, Lansing, Valley Crucis, Newland, the restaurants, the gathering places, the groceries, just everything that's so important, childcare, healthcare, you name it. We're happy to see them getting back on their feet. And, we talk about how we recover forward together. It's so important to support our local businesses to really get all the way through and get back to thriving. Starting a business is heroic. Folks are having to be heroic again to restart their businesses. 99% of all of our businesses are small businesses. Supporting those businesses really is directly supporting people's livelihoods, people's retirement funds, people's college savings funds, and 40% of businesses close after a disaster of this level, and then maybe another 25% in the next year or two after that. Well, we're committed here in West North Carolina to not let that be our reality. We don't want to just go back to where we were pre-Helene, but how do we move forward? And that's kind of our entrepreneurial spirit, I think, that we all share across the mountains.
The 2025 Alfred Adams Award for Economic Development goes to Mountain BizWorks. Our next honoree is a connector. Whether it's bringing people an experience of beauty and culture or ensuring community messaging is handled with care. The Baker Jones Woman of the Year is presented annually by Blue Ridge Energy and UNC Health Appalachian. And tonight, we are pleased to recognize Nancy Crawford.
A lot of times when people ask me what I do, I'm like, well, which hat do you want me to wear right now? Because I am a wife, I am a mother, Mary Kay Skincare, and I like to say that I'm just a perpetual volunteer. That's just my heart. I'm Nancy Crawford, and I've been in the high country since 2015, and I am an esthetician. I've been in Mary Kay Skincare since 18 years now. Jason and I, my husband, started a primary care practice with medical aesthetics. One of the things that Mary Kay always said was, imagine that everybody has a sign around their neck saying, "Make me feel important." That's what we try to do, and I try to make sure that everybody that I encounter, making somebody feel important, making them feel seen, and sometimes it's just that little thing that makes their day. We had moved away from Boone for a couple of years in typical Boonerangs. When we moved back in 2022, I heard about Yolanda Adams. Everybody knows Yolanda Adams. Met with her and I said, this is what I want to do. I want to be that bridge for the Latino community and the non-Latino community up here in the high country. So from the very beginning, what was it? I think it was Friday or Saturday after the hurricane. She calls me or texts me and says, hey, can you come help with this? So we went, helped with wine to water. My kids were there helping load waters up in people's cars, running food, because I know what it feels like growing up as a Latino in the area. It's hard. So I try to just go out there and help build those bridges for people that maybe can't advocate for themselves. I just love that we are a community that cares about each other and a community that's open to learning about each other. This is a community where we take care of our neighbors, and I want my children to see that, and I want my children to emulate that and to show that to their friends, so that way, between all of us, we can make a difference.
The 2025 Baker Jones Woman of the Year is Nancy Crawford. Summoning passion to find a way to provide resources has been a common theme in our community for generations. What started as a volunteer raising his hand to serve has turned into real momentum in the effort to make housing more attainable. This year's Wade Brown Award for Community Involvement is presented by WWAMI Community Action, and it recognizes the force that has re-energized the Watauga Housing Trust. Ben Loomis.
We raised over another $200K towards the repairs and paying people and keeping that loan going, but just got our first project completed for the Housing Trust. My name's Benjamin Loomis. I originally came up here as a student at APP doing the Sustainable Development program, and I've tried to stay involved in as many community projects as I can. I got involved with the Watauga Community Housing Trust after we had seen the effect of COVID-19 on the housing market, making it quite unobtainable for the average person working and living in Boone to think about buying a home in the area. I was one of many people who started being part of community meetings that were popping up to start talking about housing. In early 2023, we had decided to launch our first campaign to raise funds, but within about 2 weeks of us getting it up there, we had received a message from one of my former landlords. He texted me and would I be interested in purchasing it, and so we brought him to a board meeting and said be an amazing first project. So even though we didn't have any money in the bank, he gave us 3 months to raise it, and we were able to do that. So we worked with Life Store Bank and raised enough to get the down payment and get a purchase and construction loan to remodel the house. There were lots of supporters, from the businesses to the churches and the local governments around here, that helped us get this fund together, and we were able to sell it for an affordable rate to a local family that has strong connections to the church and the neighborhood. So we're really proud to do all this because we've set a lot of precedents. We've shown that an all-volunteer organization can successfully acquire land, build houses, work with subcontractors, raise the money we need, as well as show that this model that we're using does work to slash the price on getting into a house up front and starting to develop equity for moving out of the renter market. And we're really eager to be able to apply that model more broadly. I'm a firm believer we need new organizations, new tactics and strategies being deployed. So I was happy to help build one of those. I think, honestly, I think Boone could be like the model small town that figures out through its own creative systems built by its citizens how to get over some of the political gridlock problems that seem like only federal politics could ever affect this. It's like, no, we can just sit down and just fix them all. All the problems are finite.
The 2025 Wade Brown Award for Community Involvement is presented to Ben Loomis. Connecting resources to benefit a community is a bit like building a puzzle, as you combine specialized fits with a vision for the broader picture. The Watauga Long-Term Recovery Group works daily to put the pieces of our community back together. Appalachian State University helps us recognize this year's recipient of the Ben Suttle Special Services Award, a true organizer in every sense of the word, Wesley Smith.
This is a hub of goodness here. You've got this neat town, and seeing the light bulb come on how they can serve their community in that way, and then to be able to connect them with organizations and people who can help them carry that out is really neat. So my name is Wesley Smith. I'm the Director of Missions for the Three Forks Baptist Association here in Boone. In my role as a Director of Missions, my goal is to see churches engaging their community for the gospel of Jesus Christ. So I guess I can just tell you this story. We were at Valley Crucis trying to pump out water and getting a phone call from the director of North Carolina Disaster Relief and saying, where do you want us? So we had 2 points. We were trying to do recovery out of Perkinsville and doing mass feeding out of the parking lot at First Baptist Boone. I can't begin to tell you how many thousands of people wanted to come here and volunteer. Within a week or two after the storm, FEMA on the ground was here trying to determine what organizations were active in recovery. And so their goal is to bring those organizations together to begin to work together in what they call a long-term recovery group. And I just happened to wind up being the one to chair the long-term recovery group. It's not easy. I mean, it's kind of like it's not as easy to try to get churches to work together, even within one denomination. You start talking about other denominations and other nonprofits trying to pull them together to work together. It's something, but it is really cool to see how we have been blessed to see that happen. Now, long-term recovery means long-term recovery. I mean, we're in this thing for the long haul. It's a marathon. It's not a sprint. And I've had to remind myself and our team of that often. A lot of the organizations that we have here in Boone, they also serve Mitchell, Yancey, Avery, Ash. And so, this is a hub of goodness here that, kind of overflows to surrounding areas. So it's not just about our recovery. We desire to see those around us recover as well. We want to continue to work together with surrounding communities and counties so that the high country is a better place because of everybody working together.
The 2025 Ben Suttle Special Services Award is presented to Wesley Smith. Knowing what you have and how you can help, another common theme over the last year. Our next honorees set out on a harrowing drive to find their business intact and in a unique position to serve. Life Store Bank presents the Dan Meyer Partnership Award, recognizing the quick action, organizing, and the feeling of hope that came from the courts at the Summit Pickleball.
Well, the hurricane hit. I was able to climb over some fallen trees, and then Crystal picked me up in her truck. And we just wanted to see if we could make it to the summit and just see how it was doing. It had been able to survive in a way that just so many other places didn't. And so I think that got Crystal's wheels turning right then and there. I'm Grant Williams, and I'm the co-owner and operator of the Summit.
My name's Crystal, and I am co-owner of the Summit with this gentleman. At no point pickleball even crossed my mind, not with the way the community was hit. So I just asked him if he was on board for us to basically let this be a distribution center. And he was obviously on board with that. Next thing we know, the space was full.
We had one wall worth of supplies. I'm like, oh, this is terrific. This is going to help. And then 3 days later, the entire, it's like a 16,000 square foot warehouse, and it was just full of things and of people. It was not only the supplies and getting people things that they needed, but I think people also just needed a sense of community at that time, and that's what the space was.
To see so many people come together from all walks of life just wanting to be a part of something, just wanting to help the community and give back in whatever way they could. That was really special. We partnered with the high school, we partnered with Cornerstone Church. It's humbling. You look at that and you're just like, man, I'm a part of something special.
There was a time when the people had the things that they needed, and people needed their mental health needs taken care of. And we've been trying to provide that ever since. And the Summit is a place where you can go and not worry about work or your life's problems. And you can just play some pickleball, run around, get your heart rate up, have a beer when you're done. And it's what we do there. We try to build culture and community. And we did it during the hurricane, and we're still doing that today.
When we started this, that's the reason we did it. We just want to be a place where people can come, be a community, network. It doesn't matter what level you are. You don't even have to play. Come drink a beer, just come hang out.
I've lived in a bunch of different places, and I've never lived in a place like Boone. It's this combination of, I think it's one of the most beautiful places on earth. And then on top of that is the people here are so nice. And I have just felt welcomed in this community since day one.
Community is the reason I've been in Boone for 25 years. What you get out of small towns, you're not going to get out of big cities. People are willing to take their shirt off their back for their neighbor if you don't know them. That's what's so special about Boone. Teamwork makes the dream work, right? And it's not just us. It takes a community to do what we're doing.
The 2025 Dan Meyer Partnership Award is presented to the Summit Pickleball. A network of resource hubs grew in just a matter of hours, and the connections between getting supplies to those in need came down to relationships. As trucks arrived at the summit, volunteers quickly learned of the storm's impact on the western end of the county and found out that a familiar face was wrapping her arms around an area in deep need in an effort to ramp up critical outreach. The Kathy Crutchfield Citizen of the Year Award is presented by Beach Mountain Resort to Ashley Gallier.
Hard work and tons of fun can sit at the same table, especially in a place like the High Country. I'm Ashley Gallier. I run ZRC Skate. I was brought to the High Country by my parents in 1994. At 6 years old, we moved here. ZRC Skate is an indoor skate park and venue. We do lessons, camps, private events, birthday parties, concerts, community gatherings. That's a big old warehouse for fun. I remember growing up here in the winters and rainy times, thinking how fun it would be to have some more indoor fun. Actually, at like 10 or 11, a friend and I drove by a tobacco warehouse that was for sale, and in the car with her dad, we were trying to convince him to buy us that warehouse so we could rollerblade and play basketball inside. So I joke and I say this like the seed was planted way back when. I just wanted more space for fun. The evening of the storm, I live about a mile away, and I wanted to walk to the warehouse to see what the damage was, if any. I think we were all in a state of shock, and it was sort of like, all right, breathe, analyze. There was a tiny bit of water under the garage doors, and that's it. But the building was protected. Started getting reports of the damage in other areas, and it took 2 or 3 days for everything to fully set in how bad it was. So we set up a table of water and tuna and mayonnaise and peanut butter and jelly supplies, and I think a bag of oranges. And 48 hours later, we had moved inside the building, and there were helicopters landing, dropping supplies. It dawned on me over a 2-day period that there's not a lot of industrial big space buildings in the High Country, and I had one that was geographically centric to East Tennessee, Western North Carolina, and part of Southwest Virginia. I say it fell into my lap, and I just kept saying yes to everything. What's the point of skateboarding and recreation when your community is hurting that badly and that deeply? This business means nothing without a healthy community, and the opportunity to help people in a more meaningful way would not always be there. I knew a good amount of my neighbors on my road, but I met all the rest. One in particular, a woman, I think she just turned 81 down my road. She lost her home, and she had to be convinced to come in and get supplies by her grandson. And when she did, her and I formed a really special bond, and I still hang out with her. We go to dinner, and she jokes and says she's my adopted granny. So it's been really special to me, just knowing your neighbors and knowing your community has your back. Another elderly lady brought me some banana bread. She said, for everything you and your people did. I'm like, that is so cool that I could share what I have to offer, and then other people shared what they had to offer. And that's community at its finest right there.
The 2025 Kathy Crutchfield Citizen of the Year is Ashley Gallier. Fuel comes in many forms. An army of volunteers were hard at work, some local, many from far away, and they all needed food, a place to take a deep breath, and a place to feel community. High Street Insurance proudly presents the Elizabeth Young Award for Community Leadership to a couple of creative cooks who served their community by doing what they do best. Amy and Mike Forrester.
In the immediate aftermath, everybody just kind of had to do what they were best at. I'm okay with the chainsaw, but I'm better with the spatula. We had the capacity to be able to feed a lot of people very quickly, so we exploited that. It kept our people employed. It was a scary time for everybody. Nobody knew what was going to happen at all.
I'm Amy Forrester, and I own Phys Ed.
I'm Mike Forrester, and I also own Phys Ed.
My mother-in-law, Mike's mom, actually called me, and she said, hey, can I buy a gift card so that you can feed anybody that comes in that needs to eat? And I was like, sure. Yes, that sounds like a great idea. So she gave me a generous donation. I put it on a gift card, and we decided we would apply that to cover just the cost of food and feed people that came into the restaurant that were service workers, people that were taking care of our community, and then also people who just came in and said they needed food. And that was our rule, is just all you have to do is say you need it, and we've got you. That just started my wheels turning, and I thought, well, we've got a pretty solid social media following. Why don't we see if we can turn this into something that is bigger for the community? We ended up raising over $20,000 to feed people. So Mike and I actually did all the prep ourselves. And that's, like I said, that was sort of that exchange with our staff. We were able to have them prepare what was happening in the dining room. So we would come in the morning and make 100 cheeseburgers and 100 orders of sweet potatoes and box them up. And I would coordinate with, again, friends and neighbors and get it delivered. Prior to Hurricane Helene, it was always our mission to be that place that is very much community driven. And we were already hosting fundraising events at least once a month for different nonprofits and things like that. And I think it just fostered faster development of relationships that were already probably going to happen. But it also created some great new friendships, real friendships and personal relationships that are very meaningful.
Downtown Boone is turning into more of a destination than it has been the past few years. There's a lot more vibrancy happening right now. I'm looking forward to this football season because we haven't had a whole one yet. So I want to see what it looks like when there's an entire football season behind us. You just have to show up and make every day a little bit better than the day before. If you're not doing that, you're doing it wrong. If you go through a day where you don't learn something or see where you can fix a problem that you didn't realize you had, you're not doing it right. I try to learn something every day. Some days I'm better than others, but it's just show up and grind every day.
The 2025 Elizabeth Young Award for Community Leadership is presented to Amy and Mike Forrester. Using the skills you have to help the people and places you love. That inspiration has carried our community from hard days to a horizon that now looks toward hope. This year's Evergreen Award for Sustainability is presented by Mast General Store and is awarded to an organization that combined technical expertise with a strong voice for advocacy to help restore one of our community's richest and most unique assets. Let's head to the river where we recognize Mountain True.
Since Helene, Mountain True has removed over 3 million pounds of trash from our waterways and engaged thousands of volunteers. I'm Andy Hill, Watauga Riverkeeper and High Country Regional Director of Mountain True. With clean water, we have an abundance of recreational opportunities, snorkeling with native fish that are colored up like tropical reef fish, like our tangerine darter, things like the hellbender salamander. Mountain True is a regional environmental nonprofit serving the southern Blue Ridge, western North Carolina. We have 5 offices across western North Carolina. Our focus is clean water, healthy forests, and resilient communities, and that work really became ramped up, crucial post-Helene. Instead of testing our rivers, we're testing people's wells that have been inundated or damaged by Helene, connecting people with reliable, quick data on the drinking water outlook, and then partner with other organizations like Wine to Water to distribute water filters, jugs, all the things, kind of urgent community needs Through a partnership with North Carolina Department of Environmental Quality, we've hired 110 people to put them back to work, cleaning up debris, cleaning up our streams, helping restore stream banks, planting native trees and grasses, and protecting our vital waterways. For me, the Watauga River Basin, the New River Basin, is a very special place. In my mind, I always thought that we were safe here, that, these rivers are millions of years old. These are the oldest mountains that we know of. Another beautiful wake-up call was just how strong and connected this community was. That's really something that I've come to treasure, is the community connection and the pride and the selflessness that I think makes the High Country a very special but also a very resilient place. My hopes for the rivers of the High Country, the Watauga and the New and the Elk and all these gorgeous tributaries, is that they are enjoyed, that they're treasured and protected. It's our responsibility to take care of them now so future generations can enjoy them. As we recover from the storm, join us for live staking. Our favorite thing to do is plant trees along the riverbanks, and then you come back years later and it's, my daughter's been planting trees since she was a baby, so she was about this tall, and the trees you planted about this tall, but now they come back and they're taller than me a couple of years later, and that's a good feeling.
The 2025 Evergreen Award for Sustainability goes to Mountain True. Access to rivers, scenic overlooks, challenging trails. These are the features that make the High Country unlike any other place. And the ribbon that ties many of these destinations together is the Blue Ridge Parkway. Navigating storm repairs in the midst of a major revitalization project takes a skilled advocate, one that is rooted in the work of preservation. Our Sue W. Wilmoth Award for the Advancement of Tourism is presented by Home 2 Suites of Boone to the Blue Ridge Parkway Foundation.
My first memory on the Parkway growing up in Southwest Virginia was going up Fancy Gap Mountain. My mother would take us for drives and try to get us lost, and then we would all guess where we would come out. And I didn't even know it was a national park. The Parkway's our home. This is our backyard. I'm Carolyn Ward. I'm the CEO of the Blue Ridge Parkway Foundation. It goes through 2 states, 29 counties, and the Parkway receives more visitors than Yellowstone, Yosemite, and the Grand Canyon combined, but it receives a fraction of the operational budget of any one of those parks. So our role at the Blue Ridge Parkway Foundation is to try to help bridge that gap in funding, to meet the needs of the visitors and help protect the natural and cultural resources. We also operate several programs for the Parkway, like the Blue Ridge Music Center, Kids in Parks, the Bluffs Restaurant. When Helene happened, we all wanted to do something for our neighbor, for our community, for our park, and so a lot of folks turned to us. And the one thing that I learned more than anything is that there is no such thing as a stranger. There is no such thing as someone who did not want to just help. They didn't want credit. They didn't want recognition. And it took all of us working together to get the sections open that were reopened. It was an extraordinary effort. There were hundreds of park staff that came from all over the country to come help our park. The Park Service awarded 12 contracts within 4 months. And in government speed, that's unheard of. The greatest thing that came out of that horrific event is the idea that you need your neighbor. You need to know the folks that are in your community, not just when there is a catastrophe or an event, but always. I get phone calls from businesses up north on the northern end of the Parkway that want to know what they can do to help the businesses down in this part of the Parkway that are not open yet. I've never seen that before. They may have never been to Little Switzerland or Spruce Pine or what's Watauga County, but now they know and they want to help. That's going to last a lot longer than the damage that we have suffered. This is a very different park than most parks in the country. One of my favorite experiences on the Parkway when I came to work here was a fella up at, I think it was Pounding Mill Overlook. I was doing some stuff and I was taking pictures, and he set out a little table, set out a bottle of wine, set out 2 wine glasses, poured him a glass of wine, sitting there, he's by himself, he was probably 80. I kept watching him, and so finally I was getting ready to leave, and I just had to just go ask. And I was like, I noticed, you're here, and seems like you're having a lovely time. Are you waiting on someone? And he told me that that was where he and his wife had met, like 70 years ago. This was where they came on every anniversary. She had just passed away. He came, he said, I'm gonna keep coming. I pour her a glass of wine. I sat here, the place we both loved. That's our park. Our park is not like, I wanna see it once. You wanna come back over and over and over.
The 2025 Sue W. Wilmoth Award for the Advancement of Tourism is presented to the Blue Ridge Parkway Foundation.